care programs when the children are being holistically. And we are going to work on that and change, especially at that level of appropriation, such that but already Parliament has been very helpful. Much as they sit in those sector committees, they listen to us. Eventually, when they bring this feedback and we tell them the best thing to do is actually to maintain the budget this way because this is a program, many times they are listening. The budget committee is now very responsive. The Speaker of Parliament has also been very, very helpful, and the entire leadership of Parliament. And they're the ones who are saying, let's work on reforming the legal framework. Maybe this will be the first business when we come out of this election.
All right, let's talk about revenue collections, because with government expenditure comes what you have vis-a-vis what you want to be able to spend on. And we've definitely not been able to get to a position where we fully fund our budget. That means we have to be borrowing at some point in time. How have the revenue collections performed? There's been quite improvement, but with conversations about revenue shortfalls, how are you as well being able to plug those loopholes as a government?
Actually, the first major problem is not shortfalls per se. The major problem we have in Uganda is that our tax effort is still very low. We are not collecting the revenue that is out there for government. We are collecting 14% of GDP.
Yeah.
That's one of the lowest in Sub-Saharan Africa even, and Sub-Saharan Africa is the lowest in the world. So that shows you that we are really off the mark by a huge margin. And it is one of the things that we want to reform, that we want to strengthen. How do we get the revenue? Because all these other debates we are having of borrowing, of government not funding certain things adequately, infrastructure, healthcare, and education, they all come back to the revenue.
Yeah.
You cannot do much when you don't get the revenue that is commensurate with the kind of size of the economy you have. We should be able to collect about 43 trillion shillings at the minimum. That's what our numbers are showing us. Currently, we are collecting 32 trillion. We have now targeted 37 trillion this year. Of course, the first half of the year is politics, and that affects somehow the collection. But URA is doing a good job in trying to get as much as we could out of the current situation. We have cumulatively been able to get some good revenue. Of course, we have now a shortfall of about 560 billion or so cumulatively since we started in July. We hope we shall be able to cover this shortfall. We have been...
By borrowing, there's also been some internal borrowing coming through?
By getting more revenue in the next half of the year. This remaining half.
More squeeze, basically. That's what we can call it.
Absolutely. We shall have to get revenue out there. We don't squeeze. We just get the revenue which is due for government. Let me tell you one thing, Mildred. Nobody wants to pay tax.
Definitely.
Not you, not me, not everybody. But tax revenue is a requirement for a state to be effective, to provide services. Whenever we try not to pay tax, you are actually doing one thing. You are making your country very weak and unable.
How are you incentivizing the idea of paying taxes? Because like you said, essentially no one wants to.
Yep.
But what is the drive that will lead me to say, let me fulfill my obligation?
We are trying our best to, number one, make tax payment very comfortable, easy. Because people should stop considering that tax revenue is a tax you pay is like a cost to you. No, we don't tax people who haven't made money. We only tax those who have made money. Some people say but why should you tax me? It's because without taxing you, we can't have the environment in which you are going to make money.
Operate.
You will have insecurity. You shall not keep the security situation stable, because those policemen and soldiers and all other people who keep us safe are funded. Their main job is to keep awake. As for us, we are sleeping. As for us, we are doing other things. As we are here, Mildred, there are people out there who must ensure that NBS keeps on, and the people who are coming here drive here safely and go home. They need. Then that road on which we are driving needs to be done. The entire, in other words, architecture of a country has to be improved. In most cases, these are public goods, which I'm talking about. Public goods are non-rival and non-excludable. We tend to take them for granted until you don't have it. It's like this air we are breathing, you and I here. It's a public good. If you asked Mildred to pay to breathe, you will say, for me, I don't want to breathe. I can't pay.
I can stay without breathing.
Let me stay without breathing. Because you know, nobody will be able to exclude you from breathing for as long as others have paid and they can breathe.
Okay.
That's why, therefore, tax is so important that the public needs to be sensitized on the need for tax revenue. That's why in every country, it's a compulsory transfer of money from the taxpayer to the state. It's not a quid pro quo that you first give me this, first show me where my money is going, and I give it to you. No, that's not how they do it.
Are my taxes working?
The taxes are working because by virtue of what I've explained, Uganda is safe, Uganda is secure, is an island of safety, security.
In the region, too.
If you want to say that your tax is not working, and please go to some of our neighbors and you do business from there. Take your business there. Or go and do agriculture from there. Because for you are saying, this is my farm. I'm working so hard to graze these animals. Where is government? Why then do you come to government has provided the environment in which you do that business? Secondly, the other challenge we are now having is that most of the people who are supposed to pay tax, they are underpaying. There is a problem of under-declaration. There is a problem of falsification of documents. There is a problem of bribing the tax collectors, smuggle in goods from outside, or you under-declare a property value. You know, you are purchasing a property or selling a property worth 100 million shillings. You agree between the seller and the buyer to record 10 million shillings so that you pay less property tax, whatever tax is charged there. Sometimes reality hits you when now you, the buyer, who was duped to sign on under declared value, have also to sell. Because there, when you sell, and where you have sold, you don't succeed in under declaring, the value will all of a sudden skyrocket, and you pay a very high tax, the gains tax, capital gains tax. So falsification and the declaration and the outright tax evasion is the #1 problem we are having.
But I thought government had put quite a lot of money when it came to URA work, including them getting scanners so that they could be able to understand just how much. Don't tell me the container has this tonnage and yet it has a totally different tonnage. It has these products. The non-invasive kind of work that URA was supposed to be doing, the scanners, non-invasive scanners, what has happened around all that? Is it that government is planning while those who want to evade are also planning differently?
They have improved. Those investments have made us improve. That's why we have been able to grow revenue. John and his team have done actually a fantastic job. But what I'm telling you, what is still out there is massive. I've told you at a minimum, now with this size of the economy we have, we could collect very comfortably 43 trillion shillings. And all Ugandans are still comfortable, businesses are flourishing, people having incomes, disposable incomes to spend, and yet government also has 43 trillion. And with the 43 trillion shillings, Mildred, I wouldn't borrow to finance your budget.
Okay.
I would be able actually to keep.
Run within the means.
Absolutely. Because that is the kind of revenue I need to run the budget. You hear the budget is 72 trillion, but most of the others are numbers of debt rollover and so on. So I would stay at the debt we have now and run the country. But we don't collect that about 20% of the GDP. We just need about 20% of GDP.
Debt remains one of the biggest concerns, actually, against the standard of debt to GDP ratio. We've always had that you talk about debt sustainability, but why do you think it keeps worrying Ugandans? This is a conversation that keeps coming up.
Yeah, Ugandans have failed to understand debt deliberately, have refused.
You think so?
Yeah.
Or they're worrying for, they're
Even
genuinely concerned.
when we explain that your debt level is good, people don't want to listen. When we explain that this debt is necessary, because apart from economies which have huge resources like oil, which they have exploited, like Saudi Arabia, like UAE, like Kuwait and others, those Middle East economies, and maybe like Norway, that got oil many years ago and have been managing it well and so on. Almost all countries in the world borrow. The point is not how much you are borrowing, but what money are you borrowing? Is it good money? And where are you spending it? Are you spending it well? And I think this is where I appreciate Ugandans when they scrutinize where is this debt going.
The expenditure.
Yes. And we've made accountability on the debt, where we are spending debt money. In Uganda, we don't borrow to pay wages. Never. We don't borrow to run government. Never. We borrow to build infrastructure. Because we don't have enough tax revenue to spend and build a standard gauge railway and build these roads people are talking about, which are now connecting the country on tarmac everywhere. We can't have enough revenue to take electricity to those places where it should be. Recently, you know, we've been having these power fluctuations here in Greater Kampala because of that delay in getting the investments done within the transition between UMEME and UEDCL. $50 million, just $50 million is what we are getting to give to UEDCL to invest in those transformers which are blowing up and the old, in other words, infrastructure UMEME left. And Ugandans are very uncomfortable with a few hours of no power.
Sure.
Which shows you that these things we take for granted when we're explaining them. Because you need to get resources and invest in the power dams, which we did, to generate those 2,000 megawatts now we have, and then transmit them to the growth centers, to the cities, and so on. And that's the money we have been borrowing. Take a digital technology everywhere, these cable, which we have been taking, so that the entire Uganda has internet. When you have internet and you are tweeting, you know, where is the money we are borrowing? It is that internet you are tweeting on. The money was used to give NITAU to extend the national broadband. And it is that conversation I would like to have. And we are saying our debt, please. And
it's sustainable. Where are we currently?
We are at 53% of GDP. And we are hoping...
The standard is 50%.
Yeah, that's the standard we set, but in the outgoing Charter for Fiscal Responsibility, we allowed ourselves, we knew that we are going to get some money to ensure that some of the critical infrastructures are done, including this SGR. We have started including those key roads and the dams and the transmission lines I've explained and others. So we allowed some level, but which we have not even hit. We are a little bit lower than what we had anticipated.
Do we expect and anticipate that we could probably be able to decline back?
We are going back in 2027, 28. Our target is we go back to 50%.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's look at the current, we were talking about revenue collection, but there is also election spending, which sometimes could be able to reverse the revenue gains that we've had as a country. How are you looking at that as government? Are there any particular plans that you have in place that the election spending that we have right now? We have all members of parliament on trail, the presidential candidates are on trail, and there is always a lot of money that flies around because of our kind of election spending. How are you looking at that for this election season?
We mitigated all that. I want to tell you, to assure you, we're in full control of our liquidity levels, and the macro numbers are showing us currently they are very good, but also in the outlook, we are not seeing any problem.
What are we doing? Are we expecting some freezes? Are we expecting...
No, you see, economics works in this way. Very simple. If you want to avoid inflation, avoid bad economy, don't print money. Keep within the amount of money that you have programmed to keep in the economy. The amount of money you see which goes around people when they are campaigning and so on, it is within the M2, the best money which we had already programmed to be in the economy. Only that now it has shifted perhaps from certain activities to now financing the elections. Someone, instead of building a house, is now spending it on looking for votes. It is the same money in circulation. So it will not be too much to chase a few goods. Mistake can only be done when you allow new money, printing in new money, without economic activity. Yeah, to do. And that one, we haven't allowed it. That's why you see that despite even this being election year, the credit rating agencies are saying Uganda is okay. Actually, they are likely to upgrade us in the near future because we have very strong fundamental macroeconomic numbers.
S&P already moved us from stable to positive. What does that mean for the economy?
It means that we are now
what pointers?
Better off than we were last year. First is the macroeconomy itself. The economy is growing very well, and it shows also good progress going forward. These things, Mildred, we discuss here, and sometimes we take for granted. I told you a few years ago, this parish development model is key because it's